Well, welcome. We're going to get started with startup innovation in healthcare. Thank you all for joining. I'm Ashley Adams, Vice President of Partnerships and Strategy at Rock Health. We're a first venture fund for digital health companies. And we have four amazing founders here with us today. Dr. Ivana Schnur, she's the co-founder and chief medical officer at Sensely, which is an avatar-based clinical platform to help physicians better monitor and manage their chronically ill patients. We also have Jonathan Pirelli, and he's the co-founder and CEO at Life Fuels. And they're making a smart water bottle that can optimize your nutritional needs. Then we have Julian Penders, the co-founder and chief operating officer of Bloom Life. They're a personalized digital pregnancy device, and they're tracking and monitoring the frequency of your contractions. Then lastly, we have Dror Sharon, the Chief Happiness Officer and CEO of Consumer Physics. And they have a product, SIO, which is the first molecular sensor to read the chemical makeup of materials. I think we'll just kick it off and let the panelists give us their 60-second pitches and share what they're working on.
Hello. So, welcome everyone. Thank you for having us. Sensely is a virtual nurse. It's an artificially intelligent virtual assistant that connects with the patient, can help you schedule or cancel your appointment, find your nearest service, but also tell you if you actually need to speak to a live nurse to escalate your issue for your medical problem and help you solve it. We've been around for about 3 years. We are deployed within NHS in the UK, here in the US within a few large providers like Kaiser Permanente, UCSF, and others, and we are making our inroads into Asia as well.
That's great. Hello everyone, my name is Jonathan Pirelli, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Life Fuels. We have a smart nutrition bottle. And our mission is to help you find your fuel. So everyone has different needs, from vitamins, minerals, supplements, and ultimately medicines. Imagine if a Nespresso and its pods were portable, and you could carry that with you, and throughout the day have vitamins, electrolytes, minerals, and flavors dispensed into water. So Life Fuels is the company. We have had a prototype working for a little over a year. We'll be launching version 2 of our product in the spring. And this is my 7th startup. I've had 5 that I've sold and 1 that was like a... it was the other half of Napster way back when, if anyone remembers that. And this one is the most challenging and the most fun, so look forward to sharing more about it today.
Hey everyone, I'm Julian, co-founder and CEO of Bloom Life. So Bloom Life is a digital health company. We're developing connected solutions for the prenatal health space. So we are developing products for pregnant moms and expecting dads. Our first product is a small patch that you can see here. It's a patch that goes on the belly of the mom, and it tracks parameters of the mom and the baby during pregnancy. So we get that data, it's fed into an app, and in the app, the mom can check some information about her and about the health of her baby. We also collect that data, push it to our backend where we work with clinicians to help understand some of the risk factors for the biggest pregnancy complications. And the one that we're working on today is preterm birth. So we're trying to understand how physiology and behavior of the mom can actually impact the risk for preterm birth, which is actually the first cause of mortality in kids under 5 years old. So it's 10% of all pregnancies. So it's a pretty, very often forgotten, but it's a pretty important complications. So we pre-launched today. We have an early access program. So moms throughout North America can actually get access to the device. So they can just order online. We've had a bit over like a couple of hundred of users so far. And we just closed a round of funding in August, and we're geared up to launch early next year. So exciting times, having fun too. First-time entrepreneur, but still having fun. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Dror Sharon. I'm CEO and co-founder and Chief Happiness Officer of Consumer Physics. That's the name of the company. Our product is SIO. It's a small, tiny handheld device, basically a spectrometer for anybody who is a little bit technically oriented. For layman terms, it's molecular sensor, which means that we shine light on materials and can figure out something about the underlying chemistry. Use cases that we have, for example, are nutritional value of foods in real time, quality of produce, fresh meats, over-the-counter pills, for example. So that's for consumers. We also have use cases in industry. Reason we're here is we're integrating with the IoT cloud. Some of the healthcare applications that we just launched is a beta body fat application, so you can actually scan your body and tell something about the body fat and start to monitor that. We have an open developer platform, and we've by now over 2,000 developers on our platform, so you can actually buy a developer kit, start scanning materials, creating your own databases. We have some of the top healthcare providers in the world that have bought developer kits and are hopefully we'll see within the next 12 to 18 months some clinical studies with the device. So exciting times for us as well. We've been around for about 6 years, about 90 employees. That's us.
Great. I think kick us off, a common refrain we hear in the healthcare industry and increasingly from customers as well is, where's the evidence? So I'd love to hear from the panelists, how are you approaching demonstrating the efficacy of your product, and what are those proof points that you're using to take to customers and partners and investors?
So essentially, this is one of the key objectives that we have. It is really important to have that right at the start of, metrics of success and data that we are collecting is what informs the clinical commissioning groups and the hospitals about how effective the platform and the virtual nurse is. It also tells them a huge amount of information about their patients, which is really important. And on the consumer side, the patients can learn about how their behavior and their following instructions actually affects their health. They can see the progress, and with artificial intelligence and big data, we have the promise that this is going to actually inform the decisions that the platform and the virtual nurse is going to make, and that will help improve quality of life for not only the patients, but also for the clinicians managing them. So it's really important, and it's important to start every engagement with data.
Absolutely. So how many here have wearable activity trackers? How many have smartphones? So all of you have a wearable activity tracker as well. If you have the right app on your phone or using an iPhone, your phone knows how many steps you've taken. Don't throw away your Fitbit, though. It's a great product. We partner with Fitbit, Apple, Misfit, a number of others, because when you track output data, that's just telling you what happened. But input data and the source that goes into your body helps the output data. So what we're doing, and we've done in just limited test runs, but with a couple of Olympians and a lot of athletes and some average folks that CrossFit and do yoga, we've actually found an incredible amount of data that points to success using the right products at the right time. So for example, if you forget to drink electrolytes and you're going on a long run, and then you have the same or similar conditions where you do have electrolytes in your body for a long run and the right amount of protein, you're going to have better results. So we correlate the input data and the output data, and we found quite a bit of success. We think it's going to wow a lot of people when they actually have access to all of it in a dashboard, and we're excited to launch the product to be able to prove that.
All right, so when it comes to evidence, I think in our case, it really depends on who's our target users. So we kind of sit at the intersection between the consumer market and the medical market, where our initial business offering is consumer-facing. So we're selling to pregnant moms into expecting dads. So the first set of evidence that we need to provide is really providing reassurance or confidence to the mom that she can trust the technology, right? So what we have in this product is the same information that what she would get at the hospital when she gets hooked up to those two belts, which is called a tocogram. And so we had to prove and to give her evidence that with such a small technology, you can get the same information that you would get at the hospital. So that's the first set of evidence that we had to provide, and that's something that we've been focusing on for the last 2 years. So that aside, we can launch consumer, but then comes your second target user, which is the doctor. Right? that's definitely the first step you need to go towards the doctor, but the doctor wants to see more. If we look at the offering we have towards the doctor, we want to help them better manage complications. So the first question they're going to have is that, okay, how do you help me manage better the complications? So yeah, there you have to prove and to show that by collecting and tracking data, you don't create an overload of data on the doctor's side. We're actually helping him or her in her job. Right? So that's kind of the second set of evidence, and we're not there yet. It's something that we're building. And just the last statement on this question is that the way we approach things is that we think we can use the consumer product to actually gather the evidence to build a medical value prop, right? So that's kind of a stage approach to business, and that way you don't have to go through the long, expensive route of a clinical trial. You can actually use your consumer to build with them the evidence that can convince their doctor. So that's kind of this two-step approach.
So I think the question was on efficacy, right?
Yes, how are you demonstrating that for you?
So this is a two-part answer for us. So on the sensor side, basically this is a very much a high-end near-infrared spectrometer, and you can actually take and there's ways to measure spectrometers. So people that have a lot of experience have tried this, tested this both at the enterprise and at sensor makers level. So we've tested it at the component level. But since we also have a cloud-based database that is always growing, and most of the apps are actually based on machine learning, the way to actually prove machine learning works is through standard, machine learning techniques. So we have either by us or by some of our developers, they're actually collecting the data, making sure that it's useful, that it's accurate. So this is how kind of we measure the basic diagnostic tool. Obviously, if you want to do anything that has to do with the healthcare industry, you need to show that there's change in patient outcomes. We are definitely not there yet, since the developers are now just trying to collect the data for the physical input. But as I said, my guess is 12 to 18 months we'll have enough of these top-tier institutions that have collected data, that have tried to do trials with actual patients. To do this, the first ones might be around food, since we have started with nutritional information. So potentially for that population, actually helping people monitor food, their intake, is a big part with managing some of the diseases, chronic diseases. So potentially these will come out first.
Great. I think all of your products, you're providing the consumer with information, whether it's about food or their pregnancy or something else. And how are you noticing that they're actually taking advantage of that and putting into action what they're learning from your product or service?
So essentially, it is really the delivery method. Patients are a finicky bunch, and it is really difficult to make them do the protocols. We all know we should floss. How many of us actually do that, and how many of us lie to the dentist when we are sitting in the chair that we've done it every single day? So that's why we created a user interface that is an avatar-based, voice-driven nurse. So she basically has a conversation with you and engages you in your own health plan, and hopefully helps you understand that by talking to her, telling her the truth, and monitoring yourself, you can improve not only the quality of your life, but also the medical outcomes. And so with Olivia and Molly, our two nurses on the two different continents, we are really trying to get into the psychology and the behavior of the patient and attack some of the issues that are connected with compliance and engagement.
That's great. So as part of our development process, we have nutritionists, dietitians, and medical professionals, nurses and doctors, helping us with supervised machine learning, so we actually know when we know when we don't know. But most importantly, the medical professionals that participated in our study effectively said that they saw an increase that was so substantial they thought it was wrong. Because medical adherence means something different to everyone. But when a doctor tells you that you need to take vitamin D and you don't, and then you say that you did, they know you're lying, but the problem is your body knows it too. And so when you have a fuel pod that's inside of your bottle, so our product is three things. It's a bottle, these fuel pods that go inside, 10 to 20 servings, last up to a week, and then an app that manages the process, helps you discover pods and buy them. The doctors actually you can share the data with the medical professionals to prove that you've adhered to whatever program you're supposed to. So your trainer, your nutritionist, if it's a coach that has a team of 30 athletes, they'll be able to use the platform. And we have a university we're going to launch with in the spring that is closed. It's so nice as a startup when you actually have a deal that takes so long. But we're going to be testing with athletes and students in a medical environment to show the difference between adherence from a normal routine exhibit or visit, and then when someone uses the bottle and how it changes. So we hope that our data points to the right direction.
So for us, the actionability of the data, today it's really on the consumer side. So it's a consumer product, so there is no medical action that the mom can take. So that's going to come next. But today it's really about her. And it really comes down to empowerment and peace of mind. So we have a product which is really in a stage of her life where she has a lot of questions, anxiety associated to pregnancy, and we're just trying to make it a bit simpler for her. So it's going to be about providing her with information to understand what's going on. And so the classical use case is, something is happening, and then she may wonder, is that a contraction? Is the baby kicking? Is just a stomach cramp? She doesn't know. We provide the answer to that question. So we help her understand what she's feeling right now. And by doing this, we empower her to make better decisions with relation to her pregnancy. So that's pretty simple to start with, but it's really about the information and the educational content. It's helping her understand what's happening, what her body is telling her. So that's the first step, at least.
Yeah, for us it's very similar. I think to you, Julian, it's about providing all of us as consumers the ability to make better decisions. Just to give you a quick example, so this morning I had a yogurt. I actually wasn't sure. It tasted too good to be true. So I scanned it, turned out to be very low-fat yogurt. So I said, okay, so this is pretty good. And these are small decisions that we all make every day in our life. You know, if we don't have the information, we just gloss it over. Thing is, us as humans, the minute we actually have the power to know, you know, it's impossible for us to ignore. It's just one of those things. And we see it over and over and over. So, you know, what consumers tell us is that and everyone has a different fetish of what it is that they care about. Some people care about food in a specific way. Others care about what they wear. Because they take pills, they really care about the pills, the medication. So really, kind of every time we have an app, people are, okay, so what can I do with this? What does it tell me? The body fat app, people went wild on it and said, oh, suddenly I can monitor it instead of doing it once every 3 months if I go to a large machine or whatever. So it's about these small decisions that you make every day in your life, from our perspective, that we can empower consumers.
So on that note, and you just outlined different, customer segments and use cases, what elements of personalization of the products that you're building do you think are really most meaningful? And if you can just share some insights with the audience about some of those groups that you're tracking.
Yeah, so we're at the early stages. I hope I could tell you that we have a fully personalized app. I don't know, maybe with the Salesforce, here we can say if I would have used the Salesforce mobile app. Nah. So we're not there yet, but the way people actually personalize it is we give them kind of a list of apps that they can use, materials that they can scan, and they do it this way. But I think over time, especially with machine learning, you can learn so much about how each and every one of us uses these little decisions that, in 3 years, it'll look so different than what it is today. But we're not there yet now. Now you just got to choose, and every time people personalize it by the type of material that they scan, for us at least.
Yeah, so I think personalization is a very broad space. I mean, there is a lot you can do, and especially in the space where, so in pregnancy, there is a lot you can personalize. Everybody has different habits, feel things a bit differently. The way we look at personalization, the first step is really a step of normalization. What the mom is looking at is like, is that normal? Like, is it what's happening to me right now? Is that normal? Is that normal for my gestational age? Is that normal for my kids? So we're trying to provide some level of normalization. Is normalization towards her? Like, what was my baseline 4 weeks ago, and what do I experience today? So showing her deviations and seeing whether this is a certain normal. And then it's normalization towards the population. Like, what do other moms like me, with the similar configurations, with second kid, 37 weeks in pregnancy, pretty active. Where do other moms like me feel? And so that's really providing a reassurance through normalization. And I think that's the first step of personalization. And then down the road, yeah, you can really adapt the algorithm and have things that learn a lot, because the more she uses the system, the more we can actually tune the baseline. So that comes as a second step. But the first thing is really this concept of normalization.
So we have 3 steps. The first thing is when you fill out the app, it's going to ask you what you're allergic to, what conditions you have. It takes under 2 minutes, but it gets quite a bit of data so that you have a personal relationship with the platform. The second thing is there's an aggregate of individuals. So similar moms are feeling similar pains. Eventually, we'll have data that is a lot of little data that creates big data that's very useful to industry, because certain flavors or vitamins might not really work. People might say, I have no impact of that. I still got sick. If you get 80% of people on vitamin C for 3 months and then they get sick, maybe that was a bad batch. The third thing is that ultimately, and we were talking about this prior to the panel discussion, customized products just for you. So as we learn more about our users, they may say, I want 3 pods. I want a kick in the morning to wake me up, a little bit of caffeine. I need electrolytes and a complex B at the middle of the day, and at the end of the day, I want something to calm me down. It's magnesium, and it's got elements that will actually work for me. I believe that's where we're headed. I have no idea how long that will take. It might be 2 years, it might be 5, but the technology exists to do it, and our goal is to help people find their fuel. So that's our mission. That's what we're going to accomplish.
So I think healthcare is the ultimate personal experience. We all would like to have a doctor or nurse that knows us really well, that we can trust, that we have that personal touch, that relationship. And I think we all have the experience of sitting in a doctor's office, them being 20 minutes late. The doctor is looking at the EMR and typing while we're talking, and it's just not quite like that, beautiful picture that we all grew up with of Norman Rockwell. So I think the technology and the innovation, especially artificial intelligence, voice technologies, avatars, they are the next promise of how we can do the second best. It's not the ultimate, but it is really something that can give us that experience. So we've created a nurse that knows your name, knows your birthday, knows when the last time you were at the doctor and what were you there for, what were the outcomes, what is the medicine that you took. And so as the system learns, she will become truly your healthcare assistant. And with time and innovation and more technology, we will be able to draw inferences from the data that we will have about ourselves. So we will know that if we took the medicine and had a really stressful week, what was the outcome and what can we do differently the week after. And so that is what is really exciting. That's what our mission is. And just as you said, we don't really have crystal ball to tell you how long it's going to take, but my guess would be that it is far closer than some of us think or are comfortable with even.
Maybe we have a couple of potential customers out in the audience, and I know a lot of the partners we work with at Rock Health, something that they're curious about is how do we better work with a startup as a large organization. So I'd just love to hear some of your learnings and maybe even an ask if there's something that you're looking for in terms of a partner or a customer, just put it out there.
I think, for a startup, there's nothing better than having some large backer that really believes in you and that can, number one, tell you the truth about your product, give you the introductions to the customers that you need, kind of help you inch you away in that first ramp-up space. But then afterwards, really, having partners that can create value for a startup is one of the most important relationships that you're going to have, I think. So, working, be it a Salesforce, be it NHS, be it Kaiser Permanente, or some large insurers, it is hard, but it is really important.
We're all set. I'm kidding. We actually have one major beverage partner because we're kind of at the intersection of health, beverage, and wellness and wearables. It's kind of an interesting place to be. We are partnering with a lot of the wearable and activity trackers I mentioned earlier, and we're always looking for more of those. And we are mostly self-funded, some angel money, and we're probably going to announce a round in the next 4 months. So that's exciting. It will allow us to actually manufacture our products in February. But we are very excited to have users that actually, consumers who say, you know what, I just spent $50 on a Swell bottle or $90 on a Yeti. I'll spend $129 and get a month's worth of fuel pods and have a smart bottle that helps me to be healthy. So if you go to lifefuels.co and just sign up on our wait list, you'll get information when the bottles come out, and hopefully you'll become a user that loves the product.
So the question is about like partnership in the context of a startup. Is that okay?
Yeah, how some of your partners and customers and better ways to work with a young company if you are a large organization.
Yeah. So I think it's let's see, it's two aspects. I think one is on our side we do a lot of collaborations with clinical partners, hospitals, and I think so we work with UCSF and Stanford here, and then we worked also with some hospitals in Europe. I think there, we will always welcome collaboration with more clinical partners. So if they are, perhaps dotted here, but if there are any clinical partners here, I welcome any discussion. I think for us, what's important is to find someone who cares as much about the mission we're after than we do. I mean, we in there not only for the product, we're in there for the greater mission. And I think that's what you can find, which is very motivating in a clinical partner. When UCSF has this preterm birth initiative, from day one, when they started the initiative 2 years ago, they really clicked. I mean, we are after the same mission, which is to help understand how we can decrease the incidence of preterm birth. And that directly clicked. So having this alignment on the mission, it's very important, especially in terms of clinical partners. Then another comment I would say more on the hardware side of like when you build a product like we build ours, I mean, you can't do it alone as a startup. You need to partner with someone who's going to help you with the design, manufacturing, and et cetera. I think the one thing I would say there is like, don't shoot for too big. I mean, we're small, we're agile, and then that doesn't fit very well with the very large company. So, I mean, I heard you were saying you were working so locally for your manufacturing. We did the same. It's important to stay local because it gives you that agility to change. You want to see your product. No one cares about your product as much as you do. So I want to go there. I want to see my product. I want to see it manufactured and talk with them. And so we made a decision to work like locally in the US for manufacturing and design, and I'm very happy we did that way. Later on, we'll probably move to Asia when we have the volume that justifies to do that. But I think working in steps like this has been very important for us. Yeah.
So I think the partnerships and the folks we're looking for. So first of all, if you want to get a sensor, you can go online at www.consumerphysics.com. There's still a backlog, but because we're ramping up and making them as fast as we can. So that's kind of a first plug-in for yourself as a consumer or as a developer. Second, if there's a healthcare, or a healthcare institute, if you're a doctor, if you are just curious about creating those experiments yourself, get a developer kit. You can basically start going for less than $500, get something that you'd usually get for $15,000 to $20,000 immediately. The cloud platform is open. Either use our algorithms or run your own. So that's kind of the things we're looking for on the healthcare side. Obviously, if on the manufacturing side, it's a little bit more challenging because there we want very large enterprises that see the value of a sensor that uses distributed IoT. But on the healthcare side, really partners that will drive clinical outcomes using this platform is what we're looking for.
Ashley, can I add one more thing?
Okay.
Obviously, funding is an important source for any startup, any company. I have to say, we've run into a couple of large organizations that have piles of cash that they want to co-invest. There are intellectual property issues and a lot of things you have to work through, but I believe it's worth it. So any large companies, if you're partnering with startups, please be real about their needs because they are always time sensitive, and cash is the most important thing for any company to keep the doors open. So we've actually run into some great partners that want to invest in the company, and that's been incredibly helpful. But we all need that, whether we'll admit it on stage or not.
Well, on that note.
No, cash is king. So 100%, if you want to invest in this company, please see me after the stage, 100%.
Well, thank you all very much, and thank you guys for listening. Look forward to seeing what's coming for you in the next couple months.